What's up guys, my name's Brandon, and not only did Apple release iOS 13.3.1 today, but they also released iOS 12.4.5 for the older devices like the iPhone 6 and the 5S, and all the other older devices that did not get the iOS 13 update. So just like always, we're going to be covering what's new in this update, how it performs, the battery life, and of course, if you should update to it or not. Now taking a look at the size of the update, if your device is currently running iOS 12.4.4, you're going to get the smallest download size, which is about 80 megabytes, which I have here on my iPhone 6. If you're running an older version of iOS 12, your iOS 12.4.5 update is going to be larger in size, like the iPhone SE here, which has an update size of 768.6 megabytes. So much bigger download, so definitely something to keep in mind if you have a 16 gigabyte device like this iPhone 5S actually does. So I had to delete some things before I could update to this latest version. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the build number, settings, general about. You can see here the build number is 16G161. Now scrolling down a little bit further, you can see we do also have a new modem firmware update. So you can see here we went from 7.70.01 on 12.4.4 to 7.80.04 here on this latest update. So if you were having any kind of issues with cell connectivity, you could see an improvement there. And of course that modem firmware will be updated for all devices. It will just be a different number there. So now let's talk about the actual changes and features in iOS 12.4.5. So as far as changes goes, it's iOS 12. You can't expect any kind of visual features or changes in 2020. I mean, iOS 12 was released last year, over a year ago now. So these updates for the old devices are all about bug fixes, performance and battery improvements, and most importantly, security enhancements. You guys know how vulnerable the iPhone 6 and the 5S and the older devices are on these older versions of iOS 12. So Apple is trying to stay on top of everything and protect its users from these vulnerabilities and these exploits, even those with devices, that are more than 6 years old, which is just awesome that Apple is even still supporting and still pushing out software updates for these devices. And if you're unfamiliar with the type of vulnerabilities we're dealing with here, take a look back at this one that was patched with iOS 12.4.4 just last month. So it was a FaceTime vulnerability where processing malicious video via FaceTime may lead to arbitrary code execution. And then with iOS 12.4.2 back in October, there was another vulnerability patched up where a remote attacker, quote, may be able to cause unexpected application termination and arbitrary code execution. Now with iOS 12.4.5, we don't see any vulnerabilities that were patched. Apple didn't post anything publicly, but that does not mean that nothing was patched. It just means that nothing was made public. I'm sure there are some security enhancements, some back-end, fixes that may kill off some of the jailbreak methods, but I can confirm that the check range jailbreak will still work on this latest version. You will just have to, do it manually on your computer. Now, on the other hand, we may see a patch to the iCloud unlock bypass in this 12.4.5 update, although I do not have confirmation on this as of yet. Now, I will be updating the description if this is not fixed, but my guess is that it is fixed and patched, and you're not going to be able to bypass iCloud any longer, the iCloud activation lock. Now, in terms of performance, iOS 12.4.5 does seem to improve very slightly the performance and the stability on my iPhone 6, my iPhone 5S, and my iPad mini 2 over here. Now, I do not use these devices very often, definitely not every day, but I can tell a difference in the iPhone 6 and the 5S the most because I do use those more than I do the old iPad mini over there. But overall, just like the things like the settings are a lot faster. It doesn't freeze up near as much as it did on previous versions of iOS 12. So it doesn't stutter quite as often. Multitasking is surprisingly fluid, especially on the 6 and the 5S, and even games run just fine. I mean, you're not going to be playing like Fortnite or PUBG on this, but just your basic games like a Subway Surfer runs perfectly fine. There's not a lot of hitching, there's not a lot of glitching or lag or anything like that. So it runs fine. Now when it comes to battery life, this is an area where it's too early to tell. I would not imagine though that battery life would be improved at all since this is such a small update that's mainly focused on security and bug fixes. But of course, if you guys notice any improvement, let me know down in a comment below. So now, should you update to iOS 12.4.5? And I say that unless you plan on using the iCloud bypass, then yes, you should update. If you're into jailbreaking, the checkra1n jailbreak will still work. If you're not into jailbreaking, you'll still have additional protection from some of those nasty vulnerabilities out there. Plus, you may even notice a performance or battery improvement as well. So clearly there are a lot of bugs and vulnerabilities for these older devices on iOS 12, of course, because security researchers have had their hands on this software for a long time now. But Apple is still combating these vulnerabilities and these exploits while simultaneously working on iOS 13, which again is just great to see and makes the future very, very bright for older devices that may not be supported with future versions of iOS like iOS 14, 15, 16, and so on. Now, I'm not sure if we'll continue seeing these 12.4 updates, but let me know in a comment down below if you would like me to keep covering them here on the channel. But anyways, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. If you did enjoy it, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a thumbs up. Also, let me know down in a comment below what device you're currently using if you do have one of these older devices that do not get iOS 13. And let me know if you updated and if you noticed any kind of differences at all. But anyways, guys, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.